But more and more, I've gotten to the point where I don't even want to analyze their evil. I don't even want to sit here and put it all on display and point out all the facets of it. I mean, if the public can't see the unbelievable corruption and looting and tyranny that is spreading like a metastasizing cancer, what's the point? I mean, for anyone that studied history and propaganda, when you can flip from channel to channel on the news and on dramas and on every other program, and all it is brainwashing and demonization and attacking gun owners and family rights groups and homeschoolers and people that are against GMO food and people that don't want to drink sodium fluoride. I mean, that's all it is. Because if you wake up and stop eating the GMO, if you wake up and stop drinking the sodium fluoride that's giving you cancer and sterilizing you, if you wake up to the vaccines killing you, it's over for these murdering pieces of trash. They get off on it. They write textbooks about how they're poisoning you. They think it's funny. And they say as evidence that you deserve to die is the fact that they're out in the open and you're so stupid you don't care. In fact, let me just get to this first here before I get into world stocks and our economy being destroyed by design and what's happening in North Korea, because this just illustrates everything. Let's go ahead and play this clip. ABC News attempts to align climate change skeptics with white supremacists. And then Dan Harris of ABC Nightly News, he says, who was in my office 3 weeks ago, he says, oh, and there have already been two groups that have cleared ClimateGate of any wrongdoing. Yeah, they've cleared themselves. We've covered those whitewashers. You notice he doesn't tell you who's cleared them. He just tells you they've been cleared. Man-made global warming's real. Pay Al Gore a tax. Everything's fine. But they imply that you're white supremacist. I mean, you can go out there and find white supremacists on giant message boards covering any subject you want. Oh, you don't like salted butter? I bet they can find a white supremacist, or they can go pose as one on the message board, who's against salted butter. And say, if you're against salted butter, you're a white supremacist. Oh, look, we got white supremacists that are against man-made global warming. Uh-oh, they're threatening people. Meanwhile, they don't mention here that it's the EU and the British government that have called for arresting people like Lord Monckton, myself, and others who criticize man-made global warming. They want to make it illegal. They're the ones. It's Cass Sunstein in the White House that wants to make it illegal. They're the ones that want to shut people up, but they imply that the poor, innocent ABC News reporters, the poor, innocent, they're all under attack. The poor, innocent, reporters talking to man with the made-up hockey stick graph. And, my gosh, the white supremacists are after him. You're not with white supremacists, are you? Well, then you better believe in global warming and pay your tax to the UN. Your neighbor's warning you about fluoride? Didn't you watch CSI last week? Those are people that want to nerve gas children. They're un-American. Here it is.
The ongoing oil spill crisis in the Gulf is keeping the debate over climate and energy very much in the headlines. And that debate is becoming increasingly venomous, with many prominent climate scientists now saying that they are being severely harassed.
I hope someone gets you in a dark alley.
The FBI tells ABC News it's looking into a spike in threatening emails to climate scientists like Penn State's Michael Mann.
6 feet under with the roots is where you should be. I was hoping I would see the news that you committed suicide. Do it. It's an attempt to chill the discourse, and I think that's what's most disconcerting.
A white supremacist website recently posted Mann's picture alongside several other climate scientists with the word Jew next to each image. To many scientists, however, the most disturbing recent development was a report released by Republican Senator James Inhofe, naming 17 climate scientists, some of whom Inhofe says have engaged in potentially illegal behavior.
All right.
Some scientists have said that it's...
We're going to come back. So you notice, white supremacist, Jew, next, Inhofe. It is criminal that they knowingly lied to get research funds. that they knowingly, we have the UN memos where they got them to lie so they could get this new global tax. But hey, what's ABC News say? You don't want to pay Al Gore money? You're a white supremacist. You don't want to drink fluoride? You're a murderer.
The ongoing oil spill crisis in the Gulf is keeping the debate over climate and energy very much in the headlines. And that debate is becoming increasingly venomous, with many prominent climate scientists now saying that they are being severely harassed.
I hope someone gets you in a dark alley.
The FBI tells ABC News it's looking into a spike in threatening emails to climate scientists like Penn State's Michael Mann.
6 feet under with the roots is where you should be. I was hoping I would see the news that you committed suicide. Do it. It's an attempt to chill the discourse, and I think that's what's most disconcerting.
A white supremacist website recently posted Mann's picture alongside several other climate scientists with the word Jew next to each image. To many scientists, however, the most disturbing recent development was a report released by Republican Senator James Inhofe, naming 17 climate scientists, some of whom Inhofe says have engaged in potentially illegal behavior.
Some scientists have said that it's McCarthyite.
That is a word that might be quite appropriate.
Senator Inhofe's report was referring to an incident late last year known as ClimateGate, where stolen emails gave the impression that climate scientists may have been trying to hide flaws in their research, although several subsequent investigations have exonerated the scientists. Senator Inhofe's former spokesman, Mark Morano, who now runs one of the most aggressive climate skeptic websites in the country, did agree to an interview, arguing that skeptics have been getting threats for years.
The public is appropriately angry at these scientists. And again, no one's advocating violence, but it is refreshing to see these scientists hear from the public.
It has been alleged that global warming, climate change is a quote-unquote hoax, that there's a conspiracy among scientists to sell us a bill of goods. How do you respond to that?
It's nonsense. Scientists are hyper-competitive.
Absolute baloney. We have the emails between the top 3 institutions in Europe, England, and the U.S. with NASA, and we have all the heads of these groups making eugenics statements about destroying industrial society, about wrecking the West. And we have the UN document. We've written articles about it. We've linked to the UN documents on Infowars.com, on PrisonPlanet.com, where a decade ago they got together with all the major universities and said, we want socialism, we want world government, this is how we're going to take over society. I mean, they're on record saying it. But Dan Harris laughs. He's like, there are some that say, his body language is how ridiculous. There are some that say, you know, that scientists are working together to lie on this. And the guy's like, that's ridiculous. Scientists are so competitive. Oh, really competitive for all the tens of billions of dollars of government research funds to fund the fact that that there's no climate change, and if there is climate change, it's unnatural, that the Earth never has changes? I mean, it's just, they couldn't get away with this if the public wasn't so dumbed down. I mean, do ABC News listeners realize how insulting that is, how dumb they think you are, how stupid they think you are? And look at the body language of that professor when Harris says, you know, there's some that say you guys are all colluding, and he just looks as guilty as a cat that's been caught with a canary in its mouth going, oh, ridiculous, preposterous. I mean, they've been caught red-handed everywhere. This is a eugenics religion. And then they've got the nerve to talk about Nazis when Hitler was the big vegetarian environmentalist that wanted a world government to exterminate the majority of the world population and was funded by the Rockefeller Foundation on record, along with Margaret Sanger. Then they talk about McCarthyites. I've got to get Watson or somebody to do an article about this video. Just a few weeks ago, they had big environmental groups saying, we've tried to pass climate legislation the nice way. Now we need to get violent. We need to shut these people down. We need to arrest them. Meanwhile, the poor little scientist, the McCarthyites are after them. Mean Mr. Inhofe, who we just showed you Nazis. He might be connected to them. We just showed you what Nazis said on a message board. Now here's Inhofe. It's like, oh, the Nazis are bad, but Inhofe is even. It cuts to him. He's calling for criminal investigations. Despite the fact that 2 commissions have exonerated the people involved in ClimateGate and found they did nothing. Now, I could spend the entire broadcast every day doing nothing but covering news propaganda. Literally, every time I turn on the TV, it is unspeakable brainwashing. But worse than just news. News is bad. They know you're in suspended disbelief. You are not in a questioning, discerning mode when you're sitting there eating your TV dinner filled with sterilants in a plastic-lined container lined with sterilants, which they admit. They know you're not questioning, so they're just programming. That's coming up. We'll be back.